Hi folks, welcome back to my Global Digital School of Art. Right, this is a little bit of an odd video because in actual fact I will not be painting. So enough of what I will not be doing, let's talk about what I'm going to do. Right, now, it has crossed my mind that if you have been following mine or other people's videos and you feel that your paintings have now improved a little or sufficiently that you might think about exhibiting them. Right, now, I really am not into competitive art, but it is within our nature that we want to display what skills we have. So I'm now thinking about local exhibitions, and there's local exhibitions all over the world. I've casually walked into them and they all look very, very similar. Okay, there are cultural differences, of course. So look, I just happened to be going down to a local art exhibition where in actual fact I was a selector there, and off the cuff, unscripted, I decided to take a little video of it. So the sound is not great, the lighting's not great. I did think about going back and doing it again, but I think the one-off is a lot more real. So let's go down to this exhibition. Right, okay folks, we're now inside this little local gallery, and I'm going to just take a little walk along the wall here and point out one or two pictures and the sorts of things which the selectors are actually looking for. Okay, now we've got a nice little picture here. It's got a lot of punch and it hits you immediately straight in the face, so therefore you will automatically be attracted to this type of painting. There is a large variety. We've got a little bit of life work, we've got a little bit of landscape, and what the actual selectors are looking for is some sort of balance within their little exhibition. So there are some things which you need to watch out for before you put them up for selection. Very important, the framing. There's no point in just having a loose piece of paper, and the selectors have to go along with a bit of blue tack, sticking them on the walls. So a good secure frame is important. Whatever you do, don't go and put this frosted glass on there, because that will automatically be rejected, because in actual fact you're trying to diffuse or hide some of your work. If you're proud of your work, let us get a look at it as such. Okay, now look, I'm moving along the wall here, and it's like I say, there's a big variety of subject matter and medias as such. Look, we've got a nice little tiny a station bit of work there, and it's interesting because we're actually moving from side to side, watching what the actual figures are doing. We've got another one here which is a scratched bit of work, wax, I think it's wax anyway. We've got some nice flowers up here. Look, and I'm going to go down to this one here. I don't know if we can get in a little bit closer. Okay, there. Look, we're talking about composition. This one is very, very busy. In actual fact, in reality, it's probably a little bit too busy. But look, we've got some horses and dogs coming into the actual picture, and they're turning us towards this little path, and we're exploring our way up to the path to see where they're actually going to. If they were coming the other way, we'd be exploring to see where they're coming from. And so because the actual dogs and the figures are moving in towards the picture, we're tending to move in with it. So, for example, if we had, and this does happen quite a lot, if we've got a cow in a meadow or pasture, and some people can only draw parts of a cow, if you've got the back end of a cow walking away from the actual pasture, subconsciously it's actually saying the cow's not interested. So if the cow's not interested, why should you be interested? So if you're going to have half a figure, have half a figure walking in and not half a figure walking out. Okay, look, we've got some nice flowers at the top here, and we've got a nice sort of bright feel-good factor on this one here. Now, one thing which I'm going to say, look, when you come to do your works, don't try and say everything in one hit. It's very much like a child coming up, overexcited, trying to tell you a story. You have to slow the child down because you don't understand what they're talking about, because they're trying to give you the beginning and the end and the middle all at the same time. So there's no sort of format there. So the same thing will apply to a picture. So if you've got a picture, have a punch part where the person is drawn in, and then allow them to explore their way around with their eyes, because if you hit them all at once, they'll lose interest. Now I'm going to give you a prime example of this. If one was to come over to a window here, and assuming there were some blinds or curtains on it, if I was to open those curtains and there were a dozen people looking at me through that window, I would automatically close the blinds and back off. So it's much better if there's one person, two persons, or two or three people slightly away from the window, and now I'm moving towards the window because I want to know who they are, what they're talking about. I'll be looking at their body language. So therefore, that will help me exploring my way around that window a little bit. Whereas if they're all hitting me in one foul swoop, I'll close the curtain and back off. And that is exactly the same when you come to do your pictures. Right now, look, I'm going to go down to the bottom here. And this is a landscape, and it's a true landscape. It hasn't got any frame on it. But it gives me a chance to move my eyes from side to side, exactly what a landscape should do. For example, if this window was very narrow and I'm looking at a landscape through there, it would be looking through like a little crack through a door, and I want to look either side and I can't do it. So when you come to do your paintings, if that landscape was now in a little portraits you will tend to look up and down, landscapes you want to look from side to side. So what you need to do is to go along to the exhibition and actually have a look, see what the selectors have selected before you put your work in other words, maybe a year beforehand. You may come across a situation where you've got some dogs and cats, and they may be excellent. It may be you've got 6 brilliant cats and one rather mangy dog, and you want to know why your cat was not accepted. It's just that we can't have an exhibition full of just cats, so therefore we'll move a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 of the cats out, even though they're brilliantly done, in order to put the mangy dog in there. Okay, so you need to do a little bit of research about the actual exhibition. If it's a botanical one and it's about flowers, don't go and put a railway engine in there, because it may be brilliantly painted, but people are, the selectors are not looking for railway engines. So this particular local art exhibition, which is a wonderful, it's got sculpture in it, and it's got a very, very wide variety of work. So therefore, there will always be something within these sorts of exhibitions which will attract somebody. Now, I can't see one directly, but just supposing one was to have, let's say, a little Snoopy or cartoon character, that can go in. Not because it's high art, not because it's brilliant, because when people go to local art exhibitions, They're not going to look at the masters, the old turners locally. So when you take your grandchildren down there, the grandchildren may not be interested in a life drawing, but suddenly they'll look round and they'll see this lovely little Snoopy or this little character there, and they will be automatically attracted to it. So therefore their afternoon has not actually been wasted. Okay, so there is value in all sorts of art. It's just a question of getting the right sort of balance. Okay, that's it folks. When you put your work in, take some of this in mind. Okay, having taken a little walk around that exhibition, right now, okay, I did say the sound and lighting was not great. I did on the first take, opening shot, it was actually full of people. It was a private view, and it was so noisy I had to stop. So I've just waited until a lot of the people have drifted off, and I gave it I went out on a limb on it. Okay, right now, just so that you know what these exhibitions are all about, I can now, in the sanity of my home, give you a little bit more insight into it. Right now, in this particular case, the exhibition was, there were 3 selectors, myself being one of them, and sometimes there could be 5, and the same process will actually occur in whether or not it's a small exhibition or a major exhibition. So we all sit there and the pictures passes by and we give it that or we give it that, right? And it's taken on a majority. Sometimes it's unanimous, sometimes it's not. Those which somebody might have done that, they're put in a reserve pile. So if we've got, let's assume, let's for argument's sake say, we've got 200 spaces, we need to take in the sizes of these into consideration. So we'll run through them. And today, being a lot more modern, instead of having to handle all these pictures, because you now need 2 or 3 people to pass these pictures along, we can actually do it on a screen, which is less damage and much easier for us to actually just view them on the screen. But having said that, the quality of photograph needs to be pretty good, because sometimes we don't really quite know which way up it actually goes. And I'll say this, when I went down to the exhibition and saw them in the real, they were a lot more vibrant and a lot more exciting than what they were on the screen. So it could be said about me, you're watching me on the screen, if you meet me for real, I'm a lot more vibrant. Right, now where was I? Okay, let's get back to this. If we've got insufficient, we will still reject. Okay, if we've got far too many, once we've gone through the bulk and we decide that we've got some more spaces left, we then bring back what we call our reserves. And at that point there is a lot of trading going on, because I might have done that and 2 of them might have done that. So I will say to them, look, I will do that on yours if you do that on mine, right? So we sort of barter amongst ourselves until we've got some sort of arrangement as to the right sort of balance we've actually got there. And I was saying when I was down the gallery about this business of too many cats or too many dogs or too many bluebell-woods, and it is a shame, because sometimes we actually put something out which is really quite good, but it's just that we've got too many of them. So we have to keep a very open mind on the subject matter. Some people may like modern art, some others may not, some might like landscape, so you will always favour a little bit in the direction of your own leanings. But a good selector will look at something and decide he doesn't necessarily, or she does not necessarily have to like it, but is it good of its type? And if it is good of its type, regardless, it's a bit like music, then you have to turn around and say, yes, this will warrant the space, this will help balance the exhibition out. It can be a little bit risky sometimes. I was faced by a very irate husband because his wife's cat never got in and a mangy dog did, and I can't explain to him all the ins and outs and all the balances which were going on. It's just that he was so annoyed because, as he said, he's in for a hard month with his wife. Sorry, she decided to put it in. I don't really want to select people's work, but if they want their work looked at, and I don't criticise it, I just do that, or I do that, then that is their choice and not mine. As I said, personally, I don't like competitive art. Unless it is for commercial reasons, then obviously it is. Because some painters may not necessarily be wonderful brush people, but you can see they are real artists. So all we need to do with some of these students is to polish them up a little bit so that you can understand what they are trying to say. It's very much like it's a visual language, and if I was to try and explain to you something in Italian, which I can't, by the way, or German, I might be interested, but if I can't put my words together, you will never know. So when it comes to this polishing up your painting skills, you need just sufficient words so that we can look at it and turn around and say, yes, I find that interesting, right? They may not be eloquent with their language, but we can see what you're getting at, right? And that is what you need to do. Just enough to draw us in so that we are prepared to spend a few seconds of our time to explore what it is you're actually trying to say to us. Okay, I think I'm going to close this video now. I don't think for one moment it's going to be a high viewer, but it may be important to somebody, because from where you are, maybe in your kitchen or in your little studio, you don't really know what goes on outside within these local exhibitions. So as I said when I was down there, go along, have a look and see what sort of things they're looking for, and if your painting is within that sphere, go along and put your painting in. Be prepared to take a few hits, and it can be a little bit soul destroying, because in actual fact you're actually hanging your soul on the wall. It's not just a picture, you know. It would be like me hanging hanging my jockey shorts on the wall. No, not as bad as that. I don't know, I think they'd be rejected anyway. Anyway, I'm gambling and chatting on, so let's close this video so I can get back to a little bit more painting videos. Bye-bye for now. Enjoy.